Now, it was in the early hours of Saturday when explosions ripped through several parts of Venezuela's capital as U.S. military conducted a large-scale operation called Operation Absolute Resolve, in which they captured its long-serving President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. Now, the couple first boarded a USS Iwo Jima, an amphibious assault ship, and then in a white Boeing 757, landed at a Stewart Air National Guard base in New York. This is where the couple will in fact face prosecution. Now, viewers, the dramatic operation marked the most direct U.S. military intervention in Latin American countries since the 1989 invasion of Panama. Now, more than 150 U.S. aircraft were dispatched to knock out air defenses. Special operation forces, in fact, entered Maduro's compound at about 2 a.m. local time. Now, we're getting exclusive details, viewers, about this operation. This whole operation, led by U.S. Delta forces, took about 2 hours and 20 minutes. And in this, Venezuela's left-wing president and his wife were flown out of the country to New York in an overnight military operation, which was carried out in conjunction with the U.S. law enforcement. Now, Maduro aboard a U.S. warship after being captured. He was in fact seen getting blindfolded and wearing a tracksuit in the photograph which was shared by Donald Trump. Maduro's capture in fact took place after a months-long U.S. pressure campaign against his government that also included U.S. seizing several oil tankers off the Venezuelan coast. Now, viewers, while speaking on this operation, Trump accused Maduro of being the kingpin of the vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. He said Maduro and his wife have been indicted on the charges of alleged drug trafficking and narco-terrorism conspiracies in the Southern District of New York and will be facing trial. Listen in.
The illegitimate dictator Maduro was the kingpin of a vast criminal network responsible for trafficking colossal amounts of deadly and illicit drugs into the United States. As alleged in the indictment, he personally oversaw the vicious cartel known as Cartel de las Solas, which flooded our nation with lethal poison, responsible for the deaths of countless Americans, the many Americans. Hundreds of thousands over the years of Americans died because of him. Maduro and his wife will soon face the full might of American justice and stand trial on American soil.
Now, viewers, further speaking about the military operation carried out by the U.S., Donald Trump here said that Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of U.S. military working with the U.S. law enforcement successfully captured Maduro in the dead of the night. He said that it was deadly and dark, but they were able to capture Maduro along with his wife, Cilia Flores.
At my direction, the United States Armed Forces conducted an extraordinary military operation in the capital of Venezuela. Overwhelming American military power, air, land, and sea, was used to launch a spectacular assault. And it was an assault like people have not seen since World War II. It was a force against a heavily fortified military fortress in the heart of Caracas to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice. This was one of the most stunning, effective, and powerful displays of American military might and competence in American history. And if you think about it, we've done some other good ones like the attack on Soleimani, the attack on al-Baghdadi, and the obliteration and decimation of the Iran nuclear sites just recently in an operation known as Midnight Hammer. all perfectly executed and done. No nation in the world could achieve what America achieved yesterday, or frankly, in just a short period of time. All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night. It was dark. The lights of Caracas were largely turned off due to a certain expertise that we have. It was dark and it was deadly. But captured along with his wife, Cilia Flores, both of whom now face American justice.
Donald Trump did not stop here. He further went ahead and said that Washington will run Venezuela until a safe, a proper and judicious political transition takes place, adding that they will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent and safe again.
We don't want to be involved with having somebody else get in, and we have the same situation that we had for the last long period of years. So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition. And it has to be judicious because that's what we're all about. We want peace, liberty, and justice for the great people of Venezuela, and that includes many from Venezuela that are now living in the United States and want to go back to their country. It's their homeland. We can't take a chance that somebody else takes over Venezuela that doesn't have the good of the Venezuelan people in mind. We've had decades of that. We're not going to let that happen. We're there now, and what people don't understand, but they understand as I say this, we're there now, but we're going to stay until such time as the proper transition can take place. So we're going to stay until such time as we're going to run it, essentially, until such time as a proper transition can take place.
Now, U.S. President also said that U.S. oil companies would move into Venezuela to fix the badly broken oil infrastructure and start making money for the country. Trump added that his administration's action will, in fact, make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe.
We're going to have our very large United States oil companies, the biggest anywhere in the world, go in, spend billions of dollars, fix the badly broken infrastructure, the oil infrastructure, and start making money for the country. And we are ready to stage a second and much larger attack if we need to do so. So we were prepared to do a second wave if we needed to do so. We actually assumed that a second wave would be necessary, but now it's probably not. The first wave, if you'd like to call it that, the first attack was so successful, we probably don't have to do a second, but we're prepared to do a second wave, a much bigger wave, actually. This was pinpoint, but we have a much bigger wave that probably won't have to do. This partnership of Venezuela with the United States of America, a country that everybody wants to be involved with because of what we were able to do and accomplish, will make the people of Venezuela rich, independent, and safe.
Now, viewers, while this is what Donald Trump says, Venezuela's vice president has now accused the United States of abducting President Nicolás Maduro following the overnight airstrikes. She's denounced what she describes as a regime change operation, which is aimed at stripping Venezuela of its sovereignty and natural resources. Speaking on state television, Vice President Delcy Rodriguez said Washington's actions showed that the masks have now fallen, arguing that the true objective of the operation was to dismantle Venezuela's political independence and reimpose colonial-style rule. In fact, Newly appointed mayor of New York, Zoran Mamdani, has also criticized the capture of Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro and his wife. He said that unilaterally attacking a sovereign nation is an act of war and a violation of federal and international law. Meanwhile, viewers, the latest we're getting is at least 40 people, including civilians and soldiers, are said to have been killed in the U.S. operations, according to a senior Venezuelan official at this point.
¿Cuál?
U.S. President Donald Trump launched his most aggressive foreign military action yet, attacking Venezuela, capturing its president, Nicolás Maduro, on Saturday, and promising to put the South American country under temporary U.S. control.
So we are going to run the country until such time as we can do a safe, proper, and judicious transition.
Trump said the dramatic overnight operation knocked out electricity in part of Caracas, with Maduro captured in or near one of his safe houses.
All Venezuelan military capacities were rendered powerless as the men and women of our military, working with U.S. law enforcement, successfully captured Maduro in the dead of night.
A social media post by Trump on Saturday showed a picture of Maduro with the caption, "Nicolás Maduro on board the USS Iwo Jima." The image appeared to be taken from a printed photograph. Reuters was not able to immediately verify the location as the photograph was tightly cropped. Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores, who was also captured, face drug trafficking charges in New York. Trump's vision for U.S. involvement in Venezuela, sketched out in a Saturday news conference, left open the possibility of more military action, ongoing involvement in that nation's politics and oil industry, and even, quote, boots on the ground. But it is unclear how Trump plans to oversee Venezuela. U.S. forces have no control over the country itself, and Maduro's government appears not only to still be in charge, but to have no appetite for cooperating with Washington. Maduro's apparent successor, Venezuelan Vice President Delcy Rodriguez, appeared on Venezuelan television Saturday afternoon to decry what she called a kidnapping.
Exigimos.
We demand the immediate liberation of President Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Cilia Flores. The only president of Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro.
Nicolás Maduro.
Rodriguez spoke shortly after Trump, who said his administration had been in touch with her and that she appeared cooperative, noting that, quote, she really doesn't have a choice. At his press conference, Trump did not provide specific answers to repeated questions about how the U.S. proposed to take over and run Venezuela, saying that those standing near him, such as Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, would be overseeing the country. Trump in the past criticized such military interventions, calling the Iraq invasion a big fat mistake during a 2016 presidential debate, and saying in 2021 that he was, quote, especially proud to be the first president in decades who has started no new wars. The United Nations Security Council is due to meet on Monday over Trump's actions in Venezuela.